allotted 2 minutes per candidate for closing remarks. We're going to start at the far end with Kent. We're going to work our way this way, just no particular order, so except reverse alphabetic. So Kent, you have 2 minutes and our timer. Allison, what's the plan here?
2 minutes. So, you will see the green light at 1 minute, yellow light at 1 minute and 30 seconds, and I will stand up and wave at you 2 minutes.
All right, take it away, Kent.
Well, thank you. It's always easy, of course, to criticize. And everyone has good ideas. What are truly the diamonds in the gravel of those ideas? But most importantly for you, the decision on who has the best overall track record to prove that they're going to deliver on what they say, who is best able to deliver on what they say, who has the best political, financial, community building, best track record, bottom line, of who's going to be able to do the best job on your behalf to build this great city of ours. Said, I invite you to look at my track record and compare it to anyone's. SmartCalgaryVoters.com is a very innovative political tool that will help voters get informed, and we are actually showing leadership in doing something about getting Calgarians engaged. That's just one of the many innovative things that I have been doing all along in my political track record. So we're actually doing stuff, showing by example, and I can point to my track record to prove that I can do what I say I'm going to do. And that's why I invite all of you to visit johnward.ca and see what we are actually doing and what we've actually done and can prove it. That's all I ask. Just compare our track records and ask yourselves who is best able to deliver on what Calgarians need. Thank you.
Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Peter Drucker is a famous management guru, and he once said that leadership is all about results. And I spoke to you today, you heard about my results, you heard about my results in business, and you heard about my results at council. And you know, council's not broken. You don't get to pick your team in politics, and you certainly don't get to pick your team in business. But you still have to deliver. Regardless of the environment, you still have to deliver results. And that's what I think I've done for my ward, and I want to go forward and do that for the city. I put together a vision. It's on the back, it's on this little card, or you can go to my website, Joe for Mayor. But it's your vision, it's not my vision. At the end of the day, I'm a business guy, I'm a marketing person. So I went to my ward and went to community leaders and I said, go to this website, it was called telljoe.ca. And he came back with 3 things, and let me tell you what they are. First of all, build a great city for everyone, but especially our children. We're behind in ice rinks, we're behind in soccer fields, we're behind in recital halls, music halls, all that kind of stuff. And if we don't keep our kids busy, we're going to be in enormous trouble in 10 years. The second one, and I think this is self-evident, is let's get Calgary moving again. You know, we can quibble about the price of parking downtown. I believe it's too high, but just the availability of parking is a problem. The fact that we can't plow the roads in the winter, and the fact that you can't find parking in the downtown is a major problem. It hurts us economically, and we need to change that if we're going to move forward as a city. And then the last thing is, we need to run the city in a more business-like fashion. I told you about the 25 priorities. We need to reduce those, because most of those are nice-to-haves. They're not must-haves. And right now, we're living in an environment where we need to deliver on must-haves, and we need to deliver on them well. And I'm the person that can do that. Please check out my website or grab a flyer at the back. Thank you for your time today. Make it a great Sunday.
We've heard lots of great ideas and great discussions of where we need to go with this city. But we have to recognize that the goals of business and the goals of the government are not one and the same. The goals of business is strictly to make a profit, but government has to deliver services. We certainly have lots of successful businessmen up here. We certainly have people that are in the government right now, but we certainly are recognizing that we're in a problem. We're facing problems. We're facing issues. One way to address some of the issues is to look at cost overruns that the city is going through or has gone through. We need to look at all those and look for efficiencies, look for ways to improve the financial crisis that's coming, that's here. I've had the opportunity to travel all over the world in the last couple of years through amateur sport, traveled to a number of cities. I engaged those citizens in those cities to see the problems that they're facing, and I asked how we can use their solutions and apply that to Calgary. I'm always concerned when I hear that we're going to face lower taxes and increased services, because inevitably that's not what happens. When you lower taxes, you lower services. When you increase taxes, you get increased services. But we need to have a strict balance between those two things. As we start off this evening, we do need a new bus driver. This city needs a new bus driver. I want to be that new bus driver. I'm not bogged down with some of the other issues that the councilmen here that my colleagues are facing or with. I look forward to being the mayor. I look forward to being the new bus driver on October 18th.
Thank you. I would love to give you 2 minutes of West Wing music and inspire you to walk out the door. But the reality is, my job as a candidate here is to start talking about facts. We've heard a lot of talk today about visions. And I'm sorry, I'm going to point it out now because the game starts now. And Rick, I like you know that. But the reality is, I'm concerned what you're promising when you deliver. If this counts for 9 years, listen to you the majority of the time, we'd have no interchanges, we'd have no RTs, we'd have no additional police officers, we'd have nothing. But yet, he's going to promise us the world. I'm surprised he's not going to get 100 days of sunshine next summer. So, let's get back to the basics. And I talk about this CAT scan of cost control, $60 million in rent, $2 million to subsidize a private business in his own ward. He talks about accountability, votes against the 5.5% raise, but he puts it in his pocket. And talks about transparency. He wants independent city audit, but he fires the one he called a rock star. Now, I tell you what, I'm going to take you to my dog pound. And my dog pound is D for decisive. When you make a decision, just stick with it. O for openness. You're going to be open. Let people know about what's going on at City Hall with city audit. Because I want to know what's going on, because all of us want to know what's going on. The last thing is good governance. How can you lose hundreds of millions of dollars in tendering process? Rick, you're on the audit committee with me. You're on it now. You lost touch. Like, how do you do that as our fiscal hawk? Bottom line is this, Calgary. We are a great city. And I don't want to take shot one person, but I think it's time we need to start talking about some respect. I do respect him. I like him as a person, but I'm after his politics. We live in a great city, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a better city because you know what? I'm proud that we work together for our history. But let me tell you something. Our future is only getting better, and I'm so proud to be a Calgarian, and I want to be here for a long time, as long as you'll have me be your mayor, because it's all about giving back to your community.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be here and to be part of this process. I'm going to say to you that the reason I'm talking about an airport tunnel is that it's symbolic of a larger leadership issue. And I'm going to continue to ask what kind of a leader will make you a promise on which they know they cannot deliver. There is no money. Now, for those of you who are wondering where this $123 million came from, we don't have it. It's assuming that the province maintains the level of funding for the next 8 years that they committed to 2 or 3 years ago. And we get $17 million each and every year for the next 8 years, assuming they maintain their current level of funding. If they don't, we don't get that revenue coming in to invest in any of our infrastructure. If you're going to start with this tunnel, you've got to build it next week after the election. You've got to borrow the money, all of it, not just the tunnel, but all the associated roadways as well. It's a $500 million commitment that you will eventually be making. You've got to borrow for it, and that goes onto the operating budget. No one's telling you how much that's going to increase your taxes or where they're going to cut services to pay for it. The tunnel runs east and west under a new runway, 700 meters in length. 700 meters, not 215. So Alderman McIver can get us into the ground, 215 meters, but how are we going to get out the other side? You cannot build the tunnel that he's proposing. Like, come on, this is not a project that can be built that you're being promised here. And if you want to make decisions based on evidence, look at the independent traffic assessment that the airport authority posted on their website last week. If you want to check it out, you can look at mine as well. The closure of Barlow will add 100 vehicles per hour during the AM and PM peak to Deerfoot Trail. Traffic on McKnight goes down.
Politicians talk and talk. And I have 2 minutes again for talking here. I've said everything I want to say, but it's my 2 minutes. So if you please close your eyes for a minute, take a minute of silence, and if you would, tap into your hearts, your brain, and your souls. Imagine a 2.5% reduction in taxes. Imagine city employees would love to go to work. Imagine Calgarians who feel that City Hall is theirs. Imagine an airport tunnel under the runway. Imagine cheaper parking. Imagine a lower cost of living. I commit that Calgary will be better to live in, work, and play in. That's my commitment. Otherwise, I'll resign. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go home.
Well, folks, you've had a taste of the candidates. I'd like to think that we learned a lot, and I do want to acknowledge our candidates for their insight, their commitment, and their courage to take a stand. I want to close by a couple things. We have a couple of announcements. First of all, I want to mention a little experience. I participated in the process called Planet. I spent about a couple hundred hours in the whole thing. When they finally produced the final report at an expense of $6 million, our taxpayers, they produced a 325-page report, and they said if you wanted a copy, you had to print it yourself. Because this was green policy. And I really didn't want to print it out on my home computer. So I called the mayor's office and said, I'd like to get a printed copy. And said, we don't have access to them. Call the alderman's office. I called the alderman's office and said, no, we don't have any copies. Call the 311 number, which is their customer service center. I called them and they said, we don't even know what Planet is. I said, you can't be serious. The city just spent $6 million. I'd like to speak to your supervisor. I got booted up one and he said, no, no idea what it is. I said, well, don't you think you should have some responsibility? Well, we appreciate you telling us about it. And they referred me to the planning department, building inspections department. They had no idea about Planet, the planning department, and said, why don't you call the alderman's office? So ladies and gentlemen, 12 years ago I wrote a book called Satisfaction Guaranteed.